We know in the Championship that absolutely anything can happen. There's so many teams that you think aren't going to get relegated at the start of the season and then end up getting dragged in some kind of relegation battle and somebody shocking ends up going down. And this season I think it's going to be no different. I really do think there's going to be some big clubs in a relegation battle this season in the Championship. It is one of the most open seasons in the Championship. I know it's easy to say because we get such an open season every season, but in terms of relegation, it's going to be very difficult to call because the teams coming up from League One are going to be very, very competitive. And there's just so many big clubs sat in the Championship right now where you really think a big club could go down this season. If you're a Championship fan and you're not subscribed to this page, then please hit that subscribe button. It takes 1 second. We do daily Championship content. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, then you're up to date with all the latest Championship content. That would be very greatly appreciated. And do drop a like as well. As I say, it only takes a second if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button. It would mean a lot. So we have 5 tiers for today. For relegation, this is you've got no chance of going down. You've got very unlikely. You've got unlikely. You've got could be you. So that's basically you're going to be in the mix, I think, come the end of the season. And then it's you. And we are going to put at least a couple of teams in it's you. We're not going to be boring and say everybody's going to be in the mix. We're going to be bold. I'm going to make some real predictions. So, Birmingham City, I'm going to have to put them in very unlikely. You can't say absolutely no chance, but for the last 2 seasons, by the way, every single League One club that's come up to the Championship has actually stayed up. And with Ipswich as well, getting back-to-back promotions as one of them teams that, of course, stayed up. Also then getting promoted to the Premier League. And could Birmingham be one of them? Very much so. The way they're looking at the moment, I really think there's a lot of positivity coming out of them. I don't think Birmingham fans are thinking about relegation, I'm not going to lie. They're more looking towards the playoffs and towards promotion than they definitely are relegation. So I think Birmingham, it's very unlikely they will get relegated. I wouldn't say absolutely no chance, but I'm close to putting them in that category. But as I say, you never know. The Championship is so unpredictable, but Birmingham are just not going down, in my opinion. Blackburn, I'm going to put them in the unlikely section. I don't think Blackburn will drop off to the point where they're going to get relegated. I really don't think that. I think they've got a decent enough squad. Things could potentially go wrong with them in terms of the manager situation, in terms of Varun Ishmael, if things don't work out there. But I just don't think Blackburn... I think there's a lot worse clubs than Blackburn, in my opinion, in terms of personnel and just in terms of stature as well. I just don't see Blackburn getting relegated. They were down there, to be fair, the season before, but then John Eustace came in. They almost got playoffs last season. We've got to take that into account. They are going to have a few players have left them. They'll have a few players joining. I still think it's unlikely that Blackburn will go down. Right, Bristol City. Again, I'm going to put them in the unlikely category. I'm not going to say it could be you. I don't think they'll really be in a relegation battle. I think they'll be in that category above the relegation battle. There might have times maybe where they look over their shoulder slightly, but I don't think they'll ever be in any real danger. I just think Bristol City have got too much quality in that squad. We literally saw them go on and get the playoffs next season. So, this season, sorry. So, I don't think this season for Bristol City, they'll be in any trouble, in my opinion. Charlton, I'm going to have to say, it's you. That's going to be one of the bold predictions. We're going to, actually, I'm probably going to we'll put 3 teams in this mix just to be interesting. Charlton, I'm going to say, as of right now, I don't think they will stay up. They're going to need a lot of investment. We know that. They've got Nathan Jones, to be fair, who is a passion merchant. And to be fair, he's done a great job at Charlton getting them promoted. Now, it's a big step up. And I do think, surely we can't have this 3 seasons in a row where every single League One team comes up and stays up. Now, the other 2 teams, we've already discussed Birmingham. They should be fine. I think the team I worry about the most is Charlton. Obviously, they got promoted through the playoffs. And as well as that, they've not got the kind of financial power as the other 2 teams as well. Very solid at the back, very hard to beat. But do they have enough quality going forward right now? I'm not so sure. So I'm going to say Charlton is you. I think it's going to be a big step. And as I say, this season the Championship is going to be tougher than your normal season in terms of teams down at the bottom. Right, Coventry City. I'm going to say no chance. I just don't see Coventry going down in any world, to be honest. I think they'll be right up there in terms of promotion this season. So I really don't think there'll be any kind of relegation battle. You know, things could go wrong with Frank Lampard, you never know, but to the point where it's going to go wrong where they're going to be in a relegation battle or in the relegation zone, there's just no way, in my opinion. So Coventry, we're going to go into a no chance. Derby County, they're making a lot of signings right now. I mean, I've seen 3 signings that are all getting linked to Derby County, looks to be going ahead, which is Carlton Morris from Luton. I think Carlton Morris needs to move away from Luton now they're in League One. Struggled last season. I think it's a decent signing that I like Carlton Morris. Just as I say, things just didn't really work out for the whole of Luton. Maybe you can just write that off, because if you look at the seasons previous with Carlton Morris, was very, very good for numerous seasons. If it's for Barnsley, if it's for Luton, he's been very impressive. And then they're bringing in 2 players from Blackburn as well. Of course, John Eustace knows, and Andy Vyman and Danny Batt as well. 2 players that are they're definitely on the experienced side, I think it's fair to say. But John Eustace knows these players. Danny Bailey did really well last season for Blackburn. And Andy Vyman was decent enough. He's chipped in with quite a few goal contributions. I think he got almost double-figure goal contributions. Obviously, he's a year older. Probably going to be a squad player, so I don't mind it. Derby need to obviously bolster the squad. So if they want to bring in some experience and players that know the Championship and players that John Eustace also knows as well, then you got to trust John Eustace. I think he's a good manager, obviously, and I think Derby under him, I think it'd be very unlikely for them to go down, or unlikely for them to go down. Hull City, I'm gonna have to put Hull City in the category. It could be you. They worry me, Hull City do, with how erratic their owners are. I think it's just a little bit of a mess at Hull, and things could go wrong quite quickly. Now, obviously, they stayed up just about by the skin of their teeth last season. They are going to invest in the squad. They're going to probably back the manager. We'll see how they get on. I just don't think Hull. I just don't have good vibes about Hull in my opinion this season. Ipswich. People talk about them going to do a Luton. There's no way. People actually made that call. I'm sorry, it can't. Ipswich's squad, in terms of players, are at a higher level than what Luton were when they got relegated. They're not going. Luton were absolutely shocking, and you look at the players. You've like Ipswich signed the top of the top Championship players. Yes, they weren't good enough for the Premier League. They'll be right up there in the Championship. Absolutely no question for me. If people are putting them in the kind of category of like doing a Luton, then there's just no way in my opinion. Leicester City. Ooh, I mean, I'd put Leicester in the playoffs in my prediction, but we're going to go unlikely. Now, I would normally put them if I'm saying they're going to get the playoffs, which I still think they will. I'm going to say very unlikely. I would say very unlikely, but you never know. You know, they've got a 12-point deduction. If they start the season poorly, you're then looking at a situation where you're already 12 points behind everyone. If you start the season poorly, you're still going to be a big gap away from safety. Can you absolutely say that Leicester have got no chance? No way. With a 12-point deduction, you never know, because if they lose a few players and they don't invest, which we don't know what the kind of situation for transfers, what are they going to actually do in the transfer market, it's not ideal. It's really not ideal. But then I look at it then from the other perspective, as, you know, Sheffield United got 90 points and they had a 2-point deduction, 92 points. And I think that Leicester squad's better than the Sheffield United squad. So why can't Leicester go ahead and get 90 points and then even with the 12-point deduction, they're miles clear? So I still think it's unlikely. Maybe I should put them in very unlikely, who knows. Right, Middlesbrough. Under Rob Edwards, you never know, because he got things wrong at Luton in his last season there, of course, when getting sacked. But I just don't see Middlesbrough. There's clubs that are just too big to go down, in my opinion. But you can say other clubs, and you can say that about like Sunderland who went down, but like generally speaking, Middlesbrough just can't be in the mix. There's just no way they tolerate something like that. So for me, I don't think Middlesbrough will be anywhere near relegation, in my personal opinion. Millwall as well, they're too solid. They're too stable to be in a relegation battle next season, in my opinion. You never know. They might have a bad season, which could be like lower mid-table. But I don't think they'll have a bad season to the point where they're in a real relegation battle and get relegated. I just don't see that happening for Millwall. So I think Millwall will be absolutely fine. I think they'll be right up there at the end of the season. Norwich are another club that I just think very unlikely. I don't think they'll be down there. Norwich had a bad season last season and they were never in danger of relegation at any point. So I don't think they'll be any lower than what they were last season. I personally think they'll get better than last season. Under Liam Manning, a new manager as well. There's a lot to be kind of excited about for Norwich. I think it's very unlikely that they will get relegated. Oxford, I think they're in the could be you category. By the way, in my last video, I can't remember. Apparently I called Oxford United Oxford City. So I apologise for that. I don't know why that even... I know Oxford City are obviously like a non-league club. I don't know why that came to my mind. But Oxford, I think they'll be in the mix for relegation, in my opinion. I think Gary Rowett's a very good manager to be at Championship level, safe pair of hands. It's difficult with Oxford. I think they'll be in amongst it, in my opinion, at the end of the season, because you look at the competition, I think there's a lot of teams in a very similar kind of level of ability. I don't think there's a massive difference between a lot of teams, and Oxford fall into that category of there's not a massive amount of difference, and they're right in the mix, as I say. I think they'll be in a relegation battle, but I'll probably have them just about to stay up right now. Right, Portsmouth. I think it's unlikely that Portsmouth will go down, in my opinion. I think they'll be fine for a relegation battle. I think they'll just about be out of it. And you can argue last season they were pretty safe, to be honest. I think they finished maybe 16th. They finished one place below us. Had a good season in all fairness, because obviously just got promoted from League One. A good season would have been finishing 21st, just staying up, consolidating, and then building. I think Portsmouth will build, and I think they'll have a solid season where I think they'll be safe. And I think I'm going to do a video soon on dark horses in the Championship. I think they could have a really good season. I think Portsmouth, for me, are right in that conversation. Of course, we need to see the transfer business that they're going to do, but I think the foundations at Portsmouth are very much there. So I think Portsmouth in a situation where it's unlikely, and I'd be surprised if they were to go down this season. Preston, we're going to go second one. We're going to say it's you. I'm just got vibes about Preston where they're kind of sleepwalking towards relegation. Now, people will throw and say that they've made 5 signings and they're looking to bolster their squad. They've also lost a lot of players that have been around for a few years, and the signings that they've made haven't really filled me with all too much confidence. A couple of them I don't mind, like Daniel Everson I don't mind, did well last time he was there, but some of the signings I'm a bit sceptical of, and I think Thierry Small's a good signing as well, but he's another player that's didn't score a lot of goals and didn't contribute in terms of actual output in League One that heavily, and then he's making the step up to the Championship. I think he should be kind of like a squad player that has potential. Will he be starting week in, week out? Maybe. So there's a lot of question marks to start about Preston. They might make some more signs, and then we'll see. But at the moment, I'm going to put Preston in the bottom 3 in that kind of 22nd spot. We'd put Preston right now. Michael QPR, I'm going to say could be you. I could be optimistic and say unlikely. I don't think we'll go down, but I do think we could be down there. We've got a new manager coming in who, I mean, if you look at the players that he's coached and some of the history that he's got in terms of, he's got Rennes to the Champions League, he's won a cup competition, a major trophy. It's quite exciting, to be honest, but it's QPR at the end of the day. So nothing's plain sailing. Nothing's smooth sailing. Is that a thing? Nothing's smooth anyway with QPR. So I'm going to put us in the could be you category, but I don't think we'll go down, but I think we could potentially be in the mix if things do go on. But there's also a lot of potential in the squad as well. I think, we've got Jonathan Varane, we've signed Jimmy Dunn a new contract, Sam Field. I look at them players and think, should we really be getting relegated with quality like that? Like proven Championship players? I don't think we should. So we'll see. And I think we should be fine, but I'm just going to put us kind of at the top of that could be you category. Sheffield United, I'm going to say very unlikely. You never know. Things could go horrifically wrong. But, I'm even going to put them in no chance. I just don't see things going that badly wrong to the point where they get relegated. There's no way. They'll be right up there still, even with some of the players they'll be losing the new manager. Sheffield United can't be down there. Right, Sheffield Wednesday, it's you. I apologise. They could get a points deduction later down the line. You look at the situation with Danny Rowe. You've got to feel sorry for Wednesday. Everybody's putting them to go down. I'm surprised the bookies haven't got them as a favourites at this point with what's going on. The embargo now as well. It's just sad to see. Chansiri is absolutely ruining that football club, and hopefully things get sorted out with Wednesday. But right now in the situation, everyone's putting them pretty much nailed on to get relegated at this point. Southampton, no chance. I just can't see Southampton dropping down, in my opinion. I mean, they literally got relegated from the Prem. Are they going to do a Luton? In my opinion, they're not. I think they'll be right up there. And they will still as well. I think they'll be absolutely fine. Then they'll do very well and be right up there in terms of battling for promotion. Stoke City, I'm going to put in the could be you category. Do I think they'll actually end up going down? Potentially, they have been kind of flirting with relegation, but it's not happened, and I don't think it will happen, but I think they could be down in that bottom end of the table again. But I do like the manager. They got potential, they got some very good players, but it's Stoke City at the end of the day, so we're going to put them in the could be you category. Swansea, I actually think it's very unlikely at the moment Swansea will go down. I just don't see it happening in the slightest, to be honest. I think Swansea will be up there come the end of the season battling for playoffs. They're showing very much a lot of ambition in the transfer market. New ownership or new co-owner with Luka Modric. Good vibes at Swansea right now. New manager coming in doing work at the back end of the season. A lot to like about Swansea. West Brom, very unlikely. Even if things went wrong for Ryan Mason and they were down at the bottom, which I don't know go to the point where they're that bad, but say they were, they'd get rid of Ryan Mason, they'd bring in somebody else who would just steady the ship and end up staying up. Like, I could even put West Brom even in that no chance category. I just can never see West Brom getting relegated. I'm sorry. It just can't happen. Again, it's just another team that's just too big to get relegated, in my opinion. Which, as I say, maybe it just means nothing, because obviously big teams have got relegated, but I think West Brom are too good. Watford, I'm going to put in the could be you category. You look at the situation with the ownership and the managers, how erratic they are as well. You got to think sometimes your luck might just run out. And Tom Cleverley had a top manager in, and it's kind of the same thing with Hull City. If the new manager comes in and struggles and they end up, say one of them end up going down, a lot of people just point the finger, and maybe rightfully so, and say, well, you deserve that, because the grass isn't always greener at the end of the day. So that's what someone will throw at a Hull City or Watford because of the situation with their managers and how erratic or how just ruthless they've been in them situations. Wrexham, I'm going to put in the could be you category still. I don't think they will go down, but I think they could be in the mix if they don't make the right signings, which I think at the moment, obviously, we don't know yet. They've brought in Ryan Hardy, which I think is a really good start to their transfer window. I think they'll be absolutely fine. And they're probably going to invest quite a bit more, and we're going to see some interesting players, some interesting faces end up at Wrexham. But right now, you never know. It's a big step up to the Championship, and that squad needs a lot of investment. Because right now, the current League One squad isn't... the squad that got promoted from League One isn't good enough for the Championship, in my opinion, or wouldn't stay up in the Championship. So they're going to need more investment. Ryan Hardy's a great start to the transfer window, in my opinion. And there's no doubt for me they'll continue to kind of bring in maybe high-profile players or bring in some other players as well, which are definitely Championship quality. And they'll be absolutely fine, in my opinion, this season. But right now, I'm going to put them in the could-be-you category. So let me know what you think of that in the comment section down below. We've quite evenly split out the tiers there. I'm quite happy with that one. But let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. If you watch this point, please do drop a like. And please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and you're a Championship fan and you like the daily Championship content. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, as I say, it takes 1 second. It'd be very greatly appreciated. And you've watched this point, so you may as well hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.